What is going on, guys? So as part of the bottom dollar bounties DLC, Rockstar has supposedly increased the armor of two existing vehicles by 50%. This includes the Sparrow that was added as part of the Cairo Perico Heist DLC and the RM-10 Bombushka added as part of the Smuggler's Run update. In this video, we're going to be looking at a handful of results of tests that I've done using weaponized vehicles and weapons on both of these vehicles. I also want to give a special thanks to my friend and moderator, Unenthusiastic Person, for helping me out. Otherwise, this video would not have been possible. In any case, if you enjoy this video, please drop a like. If you like GTA videos like this, consider subscribing. Let's get right into it. Starting with the Sparrow, we can see the before comparison is on the left, and on the right is the after comparison. This is the same for all tests. I first used a handful of explosive weapons, and you can see there is no difference between the RPG for the before and after comparison. If we look at the homing launcher, it's the same. There's no difference between the before and after comparison. It blows up after one rocket. I also tried using the MK2 oppressor, and the Sparrow blew up after the first hit, which is really no surprise considering it was the same with both the RPG and the homing launcher. I also tried some vehicles with explosive ammo, including the P966 laser and the F160 Raiju. And as you'll see, it's the same for both vehicles. The Sparrow blows up pretty much instantaneously as soon as the shots hit it. I also tried the railgun, and both times it blew up on the first shot. Now, where the differences started were during my last two tests, the first being the heavy sniper with explosive ammo. Before, the Sparrow blew up on the third hit. However, it looks like it takes one additional hit now. It blows up on the fifth one. So essentially, it can survive 4 explosive ammo hits now instead of 3. And for the final test, I used the minigun. Now, before it exploded after around 3 seconds, however, now it appears to be able to survive for 7 seconds. Which definitely seems more than a 50% increase in terms of like bullet damage, I guess. But nonetheless, considering how easily this chopper would start smoking before, it is nice to have that increased bullet damage. It is very useful in free mode, using it for a handful of different missions. Moving on to the RM-10 Bombushka and starting back at the RPG, it appears before that it blew up on the second hit. However, now it blows up on the fourth one, giving it 2 extra hits. Now, do notice that the engine shuts off no matter what on the second hit. I believe that's for just the one side, however, I could be wrong. As you see with the homing launcher, it used to blow up on the third hit, now it blows up on the fifth. So it's also got a 2-hit increase for that weapon. Also notice, just like with the RPGs, the engines shut off after the second hit. In both scenarios, and again, this might just be for the one side, nonetheless, eventually the whole plane will explode. And just like with the Sparrow, I tested some weaponized vehicles against the Bombushka, including the MK2 oppressor, which appeared to take 4 missiles now, or explode on the 4th one, as opposed to before where it exploded on the 3rd one, so it took 1 additional MK2 missile hit. I also tested the P996 laser as well as the F160 Raiju, and in both cases, Bombushka seemed to blow up in about a second before, and then after, it took around a second and a half. So a slight difference, however, obviously in a combat situation, I don't really see that's going to be very beneficial. Be able to be that just a little bit of extra time you have to bail out of the Bombushka. That's really about it. Also testing some weapons with explosive ammo. It looks like before the railgun shut off the engine on the Bombushka on the 3rd hit, whereas opposed to now it takes 4. And it appears the Bombushka exploded on the 6th hit 4, whereas now it takes 9, so 3 additional hits to explode it. And similarly, using the MK2 heavy sniper with explosive ammo, the engine shut off after the third hit before, or now it shuts off after the fourth hit, just like the railgun. However, before it took 7 shots to explode the Bombushka, the railgun it took 6, and now it takes 10 shots to explode the Bombushka. With the railgun, it took 9. So it looks like an additional hit above the railgun, as well as 3 additional hits in comparison to using explosive ammo before and now. And very lastly, using the minigun, in this comparison there appears to be a 2-second difference, where it took around 6 seconds to shut off the engines on the side that I was shooting at on the Bombushka, whereas now it takes about 8 seconds. Now you can keep unloading round after round in the Bombushka. It doesn't appear to explode until you shoot the other side of it and shut those engines off. Now I didn't test the other side before the update, however, as you can see here after it, it still took around 8 seconds for the engines to shut off, and then eventually the Bombushka did explode. I of course would assume before the update it would have taken 6 seconds to also shut off the other side of the Bombushka's engines, which would then eventually lead it to explode. All in all, there is a couple second increase. In order to completely destroy the Bombushka with something like a minigun, you would need to shoot both sides to shut off both engines, which would eventually lead it to explode. Therefore, if only one side gets hit and only those engines shut off, you should still be able to fly the Bombushka and potentially survive. So here's a chart recapping the armor increases that we saw for both vehicles. Starting with the Sparrow, we only saw an increase in terms of the MK2 heavy sniper with explosive ammo, as well as with the minigun. It seems like the main improvement with the Sparrow was bullet damage, which I can't complain considering that it did smoke very easily before during many missions in free mode. The RM-10 Bombushka definitely saw more of an increase in terms of armor capability, including pretty much everything that was tested on it. It is interesting that still in the before and after comparison of the RPG and homing launchers, that the engines still appeared to shut off after the second hit. And in the case of the railgun and MK2 sniper with explosive ammo, in the before comparisons, the engines shut off after the third hit, whereas now the engines appear to shut off after the fourth hit. Nonetheless, despite these improvements, it's still hard to justify purchasing this vehicle, especially without the trade price. Yes, it does have flares as well as carpet bombing capabilities. You can also have additional players in the cargo area of the plane using weapons to add even more attack and defense to this vehicle. However, it's still very slow. There really isn't going to be much use for this vehicle, and I think players would get together in a handful of other ones before this one. One vehicle I can think of that is similar and a lot more useful than this one is the Avenger, not to mention it got updated in the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, and you could now even complete missions through it, earning additional cash. Even though the Sparrow had less improvements to it, I believe it's definitely much more of a vehicle worth having. I honestly didn't expect it to be able to take a bunch of explosive hits. Just having like a bullet damage improvement is definitely helpful because this is very useful in a handful of free mode missions, and before it would get damaged and smoked very easily. Now that won't necessarily be the case. In any case, guys, that is everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it extremely beneficial. If you did, please drop a like and consider subscribing. As always, have a great day.